I think we'll open up to some of your questions now, and if you want to just raise your hand and we'll try and get to everyone. So any questions for anyone on our panel? Okay.
Is there anything you wish you had done differently during your time here?
I'll start. You know what? The reality is, I teach a course back here now. One of the residential college seminars called Trials of the Century, and I've had such great enjoyment doing it. And one of my great regrets is that I didn't take all the courses I should have taken. You know, like I'm an 18-year-old boy playing football, so I wouldn't take a course that met before 10 o'clock in the morning. And I looked at, and I said to both of my kids before they got up here, I said, you know what? I was myopic. It was, I'm at Yale University, for goodness sake, with all the great minds that are here, and I'm not taking a course because it met before 10 o'clock in the morning. So I think what happens is that you'll hear, and you'll probably say this yourselves once you get older. Carol and I were saying the same thing before, and I'm sure Ken thinks. Now is the time I would love to be a student at Yale. I don't think I've had any eligibility left, but I would still like to be back here and to go to classes. My wife and I sat in on one of my daughter's art history classes when we came up for a lacrosse game, and it was fascinating. I mean, we looked at each other and we said, that was great. And she said to me, did they have this course when you were here? And I said, I don't know. I tell a story, and it's a true story. In 4 years at Yale, I didn't take a math, I didn't take a language, and I didn't take science. We didn't have distribution requirements. And I was a history major, and I took vast expanses of great history course in American studies. And I look back at it now, and I'm actually sad that I missed all of that. True story, when my daughter is walking around, I'm bringing her to visit, and she's, as I said, she's now a doctor, and she was a pre-med student, and I don't know where she got the science from. My wife is a French professor, and I was a lawyer television guy. So she says to me, we're walking around, she said, now, Daddy, where would I go for my labs? And I said, sweetheart, up there someplace. I think, but I'll get back to you on that. I'll find out. But my great regret is that and I had some great minds, and I took courses from some wonderful people while I was here. But I do feel that if I could come back, I would try to broaden, my expanses. Now, it's easy to say when you're 59. When you're 18 and you got to get up at 9 in the morning to go to a labs, it's probably still a harder argument to make to yourself. But my great regret is that there's so much here to appreciate. And the great dilemma for all of you folks is, if you're an athlete, it takes up so much of your time. And I know that, and it did for all of us. And I look back and I said, I would have loved to have been in one of the singing groups, or to perform in one of the, one of the great performance groups on campus. And I would try to find a way to carve out some sort of time to do something in addition to what I did do. But again, still understanding that it was the greatest 4 years of my life when I was here. But that's a regret that I would have.
Ditto. It's the same theme. It's the two themes of I wish I'd worked harder in the classroom. I did okay. I could have done so much better. I'm not quite sure why I didn't have the same level of expectations in the classroom that I had on the sports field. I've never quite figured that out, but I had a different gauge, and I could have got a whole lot more out of the classroom. And if I had not been so intimidated, I think I could have partaken in more, but I spent a little bit of the time probably academically playing it a little safer than I should have, mainly because I was fairly intimidated and had a lot going on. So if I could do it over again, I'd do a lot what you said, Jack. And there's just so much here that you just need to get every ounce of it you can while you're here for the 4 years.
Yeah, I think I have the same comments. I would add that I probably would have tried to spend more time with some of the really great professors here. When you're 18 to 22 and you're looking at the course catalog, everybody looks like they're a professor, and everybody looks pretty terrific. When you're, then doing academics, and you suddenly realize the superstars that were here that you never were associated with, you realize, gee, how did that happen? I tried to help both my children to spend more time with some of the superstars. But for instance, I was an intensive psychology major. I don't know if they have that anymore. That meant I did research. The person I chose to do research with was just a nice guy who gave a bunch of good lectures. Now, from a student's point of view, that was a good decision. But from the point of view of a person who then went on to do memory research, there were people here who were, like light years better than that person, who would have exposed me to a whole lot different opportunities and questions and level of scholarship. But I wouldn't have known that then. I guess I needed some better mentoring, and fundamentally, I didn't ask for a whole lot of mentoring when I was here. I never showed up at my college dean's office because I figured those are for people who got problems, and I don't want to tell them I got a problem. I'm hanging out here. So I never asked for much advice. I kind of wandered on through, took my own advice. Retrospect, should have asked for more advice and should have tried to spend more time with the superstars.
Before I get to the next question, Jack is not kidding when he says he wishes he joined the singing group. Because why don't you tell him about the time you tried to turn the football team into a singing group?
True story. We're down at Princeton to play Princeton. It's my senior year. And we've had a tough year. We had all sorts of injuries. We went through 5 quarterbacks. I missed the first 4 games of my senior year with an injury. So it was a tough year. We're about a 500 team. So we're down to play Princeton, and we would always go down Friday morning. We would work out in the old Palmer Stadium, and we would eat in one of a Princeton dining hall. It might have been a graduate dining hall or something, but the Yale football team would take it over. So we have our dinner, we come back out, and we're right in the center of campus. You're familiar with Nassau Street, it runs right through the middle of the Princeton campus, and our bus is nowhere to be found. So people are off trying to find the buses, and we're all milling about, and I thought, well, let's do something here, shall we? So I grab all of the offensive linemen, all the big guys on the team, and I take them to the middle of Nassau Street, and I form a semicircle with them, and I begin to conduct them in all the Yale fight songs. Now we're having fun. We're also stopping every bit of traffic in the middle of Princeton at about 6 o'clock on a Friday night. And people are beeping horns, and all the Princeton kids are coming out, and we are great. We are singing. Cole Porter would have been thrilled with what we did here. And I'm conducting, and all the big guys are singing, and horns are beeping, and we're thinking, this is great. It's Princeton. We hate Princeton. Anything we can do to disrupt life in Princeton was a plus for us. So I'm conducting, and we're singing, and all of a sudden I'm conducting my brains out, and the guys stop singing. And I'm like, guys, come on, we're here. And I hear one of them says, psst, Coach is coming. Now, I don't know if any of you know Coach Koza, who is just, a spectacular guy in the College Football Hall of Fame, 32 years a head coach, 14 Ivy League championships, National Coach of the Year. His greatest credential, he'll tell you, is in 32 years, only 5 of his players never graduated. All right, he has All-Americans, All-Pros in the NFL. But if you played for Carm now is like a father figure to me. I was scared to death of him when I was playing. So I turn around, and here I see Coach Koza coming up to me. And I've got traffic stopped, and he comes up, and he looks at me, and he looks around, and he says, you better win tomorrow. And turns around and walks the other way.
Did you?
And we upset Princeton.
All right.
Bottom line, we beat them 10-6. And so, and we're in the locker room afterwards, and he walks past me, and everybody's celebrating, having a good time, and he says, you can do that next week again before Harvard if you want to. So that was my Yale singing experience, as a matter of fact.